Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you that most people won't. You do not require the world's approval to be recognized as beautiful. Beauty is not found in filters, makeup, or luxury brands. It exists in the way you rise after life knocks you down, in how you love despite heartbreak, and in the way you carry yourself even when no one is watching. True beauty is power, and if you carry these qualities, believe me, you are a stunning woman, divinely cherished and deeply valued. But here's the issue. Too many women fail to see it. They chase approval from people who don't even deserve access to them. They shrink themselves to fit into spaces they have already outgrown. They allow self-doubt to steal the confidence they were born with. Not today. Today we will discuss what makes you truly beautiful, so beautiful that the right people will have no choice but to respect you, while the wrong ones won't even know how to handle you. So stay with me, because by the end, you will understand your worth like never before. Real beauty is not something you apply. It is something you carry within yourself. It is not the makeup you put on, the outfit you select, or the compliments you receive. It goes far deeper than that. It is in your presence, in your energy, in the way you make others feel without even trying. It is in how you carry yourself when no one is around, how you treat those who can offer you nothing in return, and how you hold yourself together in moments of difficulty. Beauty is not only seen, it is felt. A woman who truly embodies beauty does not need to convince the world of her worth. She does not chase validation or seek approval from strangers, nor does she change herself just to fit in. She knows exactly who she is, and that alone makes her magnetic. When she enters a room, people notice, not because she demands attention, but because her confidence and grace make them pause. She does not need to be the loudest in the room, yet her presence speaks volumes. This kind of beauty cannot be purchased, it cannot be faked, and it cannot be imitated. It comes from self-awareness, from inner peace, and from the deep understanding that she is enough exactly as she is. This is why a truly beautiful woman does not compare herself to others. She does not look at another woman's success, appearance, or life and feel threatened. She does not shrink out of insecurity or push herself beyond her limits to compete. She is not in competition with anyone because she understands that no one else can be her. A woman who possesses true beauty carries herself with quiet strength. She does not need to prove anything to anyone. She is kind, not for praise, but because kindness is part of who she is. She is graceful, not for admiration, but because grace is a reflection of her wisdom. Through experience, she has learned that real beauty is about how you make others feel, how you navigate life's struggles, and how you stand firm in your truth when the world tries to shake you. What sets her apart is not merely her ability to turn heads, but her ability to touch hearts. She understands that beauty is not about perfection, but authenticity. She is comfortable being herself and unafraid to show her imperfections because she recognizes that perfection is an illusion. Rather than pretending to be flawless, she embraces her journey, her highs, her lows, her victories, her scars, her lessons, and her growth. Every challenge she has faced has shaped her into the woman she is today. A truly beautiful woman radiates a presence that is unforgettable. When she speaks, people listen. Not because she speaks the loudest, but because her words carry depth. When she moves, people watch. Not because she seeks attention, but because her confidence is undeniable. When she loves, people feel it. Not because she gives love carelessly, but because her love is intentional, deep, and real. She does not need a man to validate her, a title to define her, or an audience to make her feel important. She is important simply because she exists. She does not settle for less than what aligns with her values. She does not tolerate disrespect. She does not allow herself to be treated as an option when she knows she is a priority. She does not chase relationships that require her to beg for basic respect. She understands that beauty is not about conforming to someone else's idea of perfection. It is about standing firmly in who she is. She walks away from situations that do not serve her, not because she is arrogant, but because she respects herself too much to stay where she is not valued. She sets boundaries and enforces them. Not because she is difficult, but because she has standards. She moves with purpose, not to impress others, but because she knows she was created for more than just existing. She was created to thrive, even in moments of doubt. Even when she is knocked down, she refuses to stay there. She picks herself up, dusts herself off, and keeps going. She understands that strength is not about never falling, it is about always rising again. And with every obstacle she overcomes, she becomes even more beautiful, even more powerful, and even more unshakable. This kind of beauty is rare, which is why not everyone will understand it. Some will be intimidated by her confidence. Others will mistake her kindness for weakness. Some will try to dim her light because they fear their own shadows. But none of that will stop her because she knows exactly who she is. She knows her worth. She knows that real beauty is not defined by trends, opinions, or fleeting admiration. It is something deeper, something lasting, something undeniable. So if you carry yourself with confidence, if you walk with grace, if you hold your head high, not out of pride, but out of self-respect, then you, my dear, are a truly gorgeous woman. Not because the world says so, but because you have chosen to see it in yourself. And that is the most powerful beauty of all. A woman who truly embodies beauty does not rely on the world to tell her who she is. She does not depend on compliments to feel worthy, nor does she let criticism shake her confidence. She understands that true beauty is found in self-awareness, in knowing who she is, what she stands for, and what she refuses to tolerate. She does not need to be reminded that she is special. She already knows it. Not with arrogance, but with a deep, quiet certainty rooted in self-respect. She does not follow trends blindly or succumb to social pressure. She does not feel the need to prove herself constantly or compete for attention. Instead, she focuses on becoming the best version of herself. She strengthens her mind, nurtures her heart, and keeps her spirit grounded in truth. The world will try to tell women that their beauty is measured by their looks, their youth, or their desirability. But a truly beautiful woman sees beyond this illusion. She knows that external beauty fades, but character remains. She understands that admiration is fleeting, but respect is lasting. She does not chase approval from those who cannot recognize her worth. She does not beg to be chosen. She does not force people to stay in her life. If someone fails to see her value, she lets them go without hesitation. She understands that rejection is merely redirection, life's way of making space for those who truly appreciate her. She does not allow rejection to define her. Instead, she walks confidently, knowing her worth, knowing that she is enough exactly as she is. And that, my dear, is what makes her truly beautiful. She is not impressed by empty words, by shallow compliments, or by temporary praise. She does not fall for flattery that lacks sincerity. She does not allow momentary admiration to cloud her judgment. She seeks depth, truth, and authenticity. She understands that the kind of beauty that truly matters is not the one that fades with time, but the one that grows stronger with wisdom, self-love, and character. She does not change who she is to fit someone else's expectations. She does not shape herself to be more likable, nor does she pretend to be someone she is not just to be accepted. She stands firm in her identity. She embraces her flaws, her quirks, and her unique essence. She understands that she was never meant to be like anyone else. She was meant to be herself, and that is what makes her truly beautiful. This is a woman who cannot be defined by the outside world. She is not moved by trends, by fads, or by fleeting admiration. She is steady, grounded, and unwavering. She does not allow herself to be shaken by rejection, by negativity, or by people who fail to see her value. She does not bend to please others. She does not compromise her truth to make others comfortable. She does not need permission to be confident, to be bold, or to be herself, because she knows deep within that her worth was never meant to be questioned, it was never meant to be debated, it was never meant to be determined by anyone but herself. And when a woman walks with that level of certainty, when she knows who she is without hesitation, she becomes unstoppable. And that right there is the kind of beauty that can never be ignored. A woman who is truly beautiful carries a heart that radiates kindness, but make no mistake, she is not naive. She loves deeply, but she does not allow herself to be taken advantage of. She gives freely, but she does not let others drain her. She has a strong and nurturing spirit, but she refuses to be used as a stepping stone for those who do not value her. She understands the power of her love, and she does not waste it on those who are unworthy. She has learned through experience that not everyone who smiles at her has good intentions. Not everyone who calls her special actually sees her worth. Some people only come into her life to take her energy, to take her kindness, to take her patience. And for a long time, she may have given freely, believing that love meant always being available, always being forgiving, always being selfless. But wisdom has taught her a valuable lesson. Love must be given to those who reciprocate it, respect must be mutual, and effort must be balanced. And if it is not, she is no longer afraid to walk away. She understands now that setting boundaries is not selfish, it is necessary. She has learned that a woman who allows everyone access to her heart will end up exhausted, drained, and depleted. She refuses to be that woman. She no longer gives endless chances to people who do not appreciate her. She no longer entertains those who bring her stress instead of peace. She no longer lowers her standards to accommodate people who refuse to rise. This kind of woman knows her value, and because of that, she is careful about who she lets into her life. She does not chase people. She does not beg for love. She does not hold on to relationships that are one-sided. If someone does not see her worth, she does not try to convince them. She simply removes herself from the equation because she knows this truth. A woman who knows her value does not beg to be chosen. She chooses herself. She does not let loneliness make her desperate. She understands that solitude is better than toxic company. She is at peace with being alone because she knows that being alone does not mean being lonely. It means being in her own presence, protecting her energy and keeping her heart safe. She does not jump into relationships out of fear of being by herself. She does not tolerate mistreatment just to say she has someone. She does not settle for less than she deserves because she knows that love should never cost her self-respect. She has learned that real love is not built on manipulation, guilt, or control. It is not about proving her worth to someone who refuses to see it. It is not about tolerating disrespect just to keep the peace. It is not about sacrificing her happiness to make someone else comfortable. Real love brings growth, it brings security, it brings mutual effort, mutual understanding, and mutual respect. And if she does not find that, she will wait. Because a woman who values herself would rather wait for real love than settle for an illusion. This woman knows that she is not difficult to love. She is not too much. She is not hard to handle. She simply has standards. She knows that the right person will not be intimidated by her strength. The right person will not ask her to shrink. The right person will not see her confidence as a threat. And until she meets someone who understands this, she is more than happy to walk alone because she refuses to waste her love on people who only take and never give. She no longer explains herself to those who refuse to understand her. She no longer apologizes for having high expectations. She no longer tolerates inconsistency, half-hearted effort, or empty promises. She demands more, not because she is arrogant, but because she knows she deserves it. She refuses to beg for what should be freely given. She refuses to accept less than she is willing to give. She refuses to be an option when she knows she is a priority. A woman with this level of self-awareness is powerful. She cannot be manipulated because she sees through false intentions. She cannot be guilt-tripped into staying in situations that no longer serve her. She cannot be made to believe that she is asking for too much, when in reality she is simply asking for what she deserves. She is fearless in her choices, bold in her decisions, and unshakable in her self-worth. People will test her. Some will try to push past her boundaries. Some will call her cold because she does not entertain their games. Some will call her too independent because she does not tolerate their disrespect. But she does not care. She does not waste energy proving herself to people who were never meant to be in her life in the first place. She walks away without hesitation. She lets go without looking back. And in doing so, she makes space for what is truly meant for her. She knows that her love is a gift, not a transaction. She knows that her energy is sacred, not something to be taken lightly. She knows that she is not here to fix broken people who refuse to heal themselves. She is not here to sacrifice her happiness for people who refuse to meet her halfway. She is not here to settle for anything less than the love, respect, and peace she deserves, because she knows who she is, and that alone is enough. She carries self-respect with grace. She is kind, but she never allows herself to be mistreated. She does not let people take advantage of her kindness for their own selfish purposes. If someone tries to use her, she does not seek revenge, nor does she stoop to their level. Instead, she distances herself from situations that do not value her worth. She forgives, not because the other person necessarily deserves it, but because she refuses to carry the heavy weight of resentment. She understands that kindness is not a weakness, but a true sign of inner strength. It requires courage to stay kind in the face of cruelty, to choose grace instead of bitterness, love over hatred, and peace instead of conflict. She is not blind to the reality of the world. She knows that not everyone will appreciate her kindness, and some will attempt to exploit it, but she remains true to herself because she understands that changing who she is out of fear would only mean allowing the world to harden her heart. She is kind, but she is also wise. She does not keep giving to those who only take. She does not waste her energy on people who drain her spirit. True kindness also involves knowing when to walk away, when to protect her peace, and when to say that she has given enough. She chooses herself, understanding that kindness extends to how she treats herself as well. People are naturally drawn to her, not just because of her beauty, but because of the energy she radiates. She has a presence that is warm, genuine, and inviting. She does not pretend to be flawless, nor wear a mask to impress others. Her authenticity makes her kindness even more powerful. She does not do things for the sake of appearance. When she gives, helps, or loves, it is real. Her kindness should never be mistaken for weakness. It is not something to be underestimated. It takes real courage to remain gentle in a world that can be unkind. It takes strength to choose compassion, to believe in goodness, even when life gives her every reason not to. But she does it anyway because that is who she is, because that is what makes her rare, and because that is what makes her truly and undeniably beautiful. She carries herself with dignity, and it is this quiet confidence that makes her unforgettable. A truly remarkable woman does not need to announce her worth or seek validation from the world because she already knows who she is. Her presence alone commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. When she walks into a room, without even speaking a word, people can sense her strength, the grace in her movements, and the certainty in her spirit. Dignity is not just about appearance. It is about how she treats herself, how she allows others to treat her, and how she carries herself in moments of adversity. She does not lower herself to match the negativity of others. She does not engage in meaningless arguments, nor does she get pulled into unnecessary drama. She understands that real power is not about proving a point, but about knowing when to walk away. Her dignity is reflected in the way she holds her head high, the way she speaks with intention, and the way she chooses her words carefully. She does not waste time gossiping or speaking ill of others. She does not entertain conversations driven by jealousy, resentment, or insecurity. When she speaks, people listen, not because she is the loudest in the room, but because she speaks with wisdom and substance. She does not chase after people who fail to see her value, nor does she beg for attention. She does not compromise her standards just to fit in or be liked. She understands that not everyone will appreciate her presence, and that is perfectly fine with her. She does not measure her worth by how many people admire or validate her. If something or someone does not align with her values, she lets it go, knowing that her peace is far more valuable than temporary approval. Her self-respect is unwavering. She does not allow herself to be disrespected or mistreated. If someone crosses a boundary, she does not hesitate to remove herself from the situation. She does not hold on to toxic relationships out of fear of being alone. She understands that solitude is far better than surrounding herself with people who do not honor her. She is selective about who she allows into her life, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. She handles challenges with grace. When life presents obstacles, she does not fall apart, nor does she allow difficulties to define her. She meets struggles with resilience, understanding that hardships do not break her, they refine her. She does not dwell on what is unfair. Instead, she focuses on what she can control, on what she can learn, and how she can grow from every experience. When she makes mistakes, she takes responsibility. She does not make excuses or shift blame. She owns her actions and moves forward with humility. She is not afraid to admit when she is wrong, nor is she afraid to apologize when necessary. At the same time, she does not allow anyone to manipulate her into accepting blame that is not hers. She knows when to apologize, but she also knows when to stand firm. She does not seek revenge on those who have wronged her. She understands that dignity means recognizing that some battles are simply not worth fighting. She lets karma take care of what needs to be handled. Instead of wasting energy trying to prove herself, she focuses on her own growth, her own peace, and her own success. People respect her not because she demands it, but because she carries herself in a way that naturally earns it. She is the kind of woman whose presence lingers even after she leaves the room. She is spoken about with admiration. She inspires others to carry themselves with the same dignity and self-respect. She does not seek attention, yet she is unforgettable. She does not seek praise, yet she is deeply respected. She moves with purpose. She does not waste time on meaningless distractions. She is focused, determined, and intentional in all that she does. Whether in her career, her personal life, or her passions, she gives her all. She does not do things halfway, nor does she settle for mediocrity. She knows that her time is valuable and she invests it wisely. Her confidence is not arrogance. She is aware of her worth, but does not look down on others. She lifts people up, encourages them, and supports them. She is not threatened by the success of others, as she understands that there is enough space for everyone to shine. She does not need to tear anyone down to feel powerful. Her strength comes from within. She does not change herself to meet the expectations of others. She does not shrink herself to make people comfortable. She embraces every part of who she is, flaws and all, because she knows that dignity comes from self-acceptance. A woman like her does not need to announce her worth. It is evident in how she carries herself every day. Her dignity is her power, and that is what makes her truly, undeniably gorgeous. She embraces her uniqueness, knowing that real beauty is not about fitting in, but about standing out as her most authentic self. She does not seek approval for who she is, nor does she alter herself to meet someone else's standards. Her beauty lies in her confidence, her wisdom, and her resilience. She loves with an open heart, but knows when to walk away. She stands tall, even when life tries to bring her down. She is beautiful, not because the world says so, but because she is strong, wise, and unshakably herself. She never lets anyone make her doubt that.
There is one truth about success that many of us overlook. Talent is overrated. Intelligence is not enough. What truly separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short is consistency. Not the kind of consistency that happens when it's easy, when we feel motivated, or when circumstances are favorable. I'm talking about the kind of consistency that requires effort. The kind you have to force yourself into when everything inside you screams for comfort and convenience. Today, I want to share with you 5 key principles that will help you embrace consistency even when it's hard. Because when you learn to force yourself to be consistent, you don't just change your habits, you change your life. Motivation is fleeting. It's like a spark. It burns bright, but it fades quickly. We all know that feeling when motivation hits, that sudden rush of energy, that excitement to start something new. It's intoxicating. But what happens when that feeling fades? What happens when the early morning alarm goes off and you no longer feel that drive? If you rely on motivation alone, you'll only show up when it's convenient, when it feels good, when it's easy. But discipline Discipline is what keeps you moving forward, even when you don't feel like it. Think about elite athletes. Think about the greatest musicians, the most successful entrepreneurs, the people who have truly made an impact. Do you think they wake up every single day brimming with motivation, eager to tackle every challenge? No, but they show up anyway. They push through exhaustion, doubt, discomfort, and even failure because they understand that success is not built on how we feel in the moment. It's built on what we commit to over time. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the willingness to keep going even when the excitement is gone. It's about embracing the grind, trusting the process, and knowing that the small, consistent actions you take today are shaping the person you will become tomorrow. Imagine waking up every morning, not asking yourself if you feel like doing something, but simply deciding to do it because you committed to it. Imagine no longer being a prisoner to your moods, your emotions, or the circumstances of the day. That shift alone can redefine your entire future. We live in a world that celebrates instant gratification. We want results and we want them now. We chase shortcuts, hacks, and quick fixes, hoping to bypass the discomfort of discipline. But true success, meaningful success, is never instant. It is earned through patience, effort, and the willingness to do the work even when no one is watching. Think of the stories we admire most. The ones that inspire us, they are never stories of people who had it easy. They are stories of perseverance, of resilience, of people who kept going when everything in them screamed to stop. They are the stories of those who chose discipline over motivation. Consider a runner training for a marathon. On the first day, motivation is high, the vision is clear, the energy is there, but what about the 30th day? When their legs are sore, when the weather is bad, when the excitement is gone, what keeps them going? It's not motivation, it's the commitment they made. It's the understanding that the goal is not achieved in a single run, but in the thousands of steps taken when no one is watching. Discipline is about making decisions based on who you want to become, not how you feel in the moment. It is about recognizing that discomfort is not a signal to stop, but a necessary part of growth. The road to anything worthwhile will be filled with moments of doubt, exhaustion, and setbacks. But it is in those moments when motivation has disappeared that your true character is built. Think about the last time you wanted to give up on something. Maybe it was a goal, a project, a dream. Maybe you told yourself you weren't cut out for it, that it was too hard, that you just didn't have the motivation anymore. But what if you had pushed through? What if you had embraced the discomfort instead of running from it? What if instead of waiting for motivation to return, you had relied on discipline to carry you forward? The people we admire, those who accomplish incredible things, aren't necessarily the most talented or the most privileged. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who choose to act day after day, not because they always feel like it, but because they have decided that their commitment is greater than their emotions. Now, imagine if you applied that same mindset to your own life. Imagine what would happen if you showed up every day, not just when you felt like it, but because you decided to. Imagine where you would be a year from now if you stopped relying on motivation and started relying on discipline. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about how you feel, it's about what you do consistently over time. The question isn't whether you're motivated, the question is whether you're committed. And that decision, that choice is entirely up to you. We live in a world that celebrates speed. We admire those who seem to make quantum leaps, those who appear to achieve greatness overnight. The stories we tell, the headlines we read, they all make it seem like success happens in a single defining moment. But the truth is, real success, meaningful change, and true mastery are never the result of a single moment. They are the result of small, consistent actions repeated over time. We tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in a single day, yet we vastly underestimate what we can achieve over the course of a year. We set ambitious goals, aiming to change our lives in an instant, only to become discouraged when we fall short. But what if the key isn't in the grand gestures, but in the quiet daily commitments we make to ourselves? Think about a drop of water. It seems insignificant on its own, but given enough time, that drop of water can carve canyons into solid rock. The power of small daily actions is often invisible in the moment, but their impact is undeniable over time. The difference between success and failure isn't found in one big effort, but in the small choices we make consistently. Science backs this up. A study from the University of London found that on average, it takes 66 days to form a habit. Not 21 days, not 30, but 66. That means that if you decide today to commit to small positive action, writing 200 words, reading for 10 minutes, or exercising for 15, you may not see the impact immediately, but over time, these small actions compound. Imagine where you'll be in a year. It's easy to look at others who are ahead and feel like we're falling behind. We compare ourselves to those who have already achieved what we desire, and in doing so, we forget the most important part of their journey, the invisible work, the daily discipline, the moments when no one was watching, when no applause was given, when the only thing that kept them going was their own belief that small actions would lead to something greater. A bricklayer doesn't build a wall in a single day, but by showing up, by placing one brick at a time with care and precision, eventually a wall stands. A structure that can withstand storms, support weight, and last for generations. But it all started with that first brick. The same is true for any pursuit worth chasing. It's about showing up today, then tomorrow, and the day after that. It's about trusting the process, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Think of a runner training for a marathon. They don't start by running 26 miles. They start with a single mile, then they do it again the next day. And the next, their legs hurt, they feel tired, but they show up because they know that each run, no matter how short, is a step toward their goal. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. We admire the final product, but rarely appreciate the process. The best-selling author who releases their latest book spent years writing in silence, struggling with drafts that no one ever saw. The world-class musician who captivates audiences practiced scales for hours on end, perfecting each note when no one was listening. The entrepreneur who built a thriving business made countless small decisions that, in the moment, felt insignificant. It's not about talent or luck. It's about consistent effort. The problem is we live in a culture that demands instant results. If we don't see progress immediately, we assume something isn't working. We give up too soon, thinking that if we can't see change, it must not be happening. But real change, the kind that lasts, is like planting a seed. You water it, you nurture it, but for a long time, nothing appears to be happening. Then, one day, it breaks through the soil. And that's when everyone notices. But the work was being done long before that first green shoot emerged. We can all recall times in our lives when we wanted something so badly, only to give up when it didn't happen fast enough. But what if we had kept going? What if we had trusted that small, consistent actions would eventually lead to breakthroughs? What if instead of focusing on the outcome, we focused on the process? The greatest breakthroughs in history didn't happen in an instant. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. He failed over 1,000 times, but he kept going. He believed that each small adjustment, each experiment was bringing him closer to success. And in the end, it did. So the question is, what small action can you commit to today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today, because today is all we have. And today is the perfect day to start. Will you choose to write those 200 words? Will you choose to take a short walk? Will you choose to make that one phone call, to take that first step toward your dream? It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be consistent. Because small daily actions, when repeated over time, lead to extraordinary results. The kind of results that others call luck. The kind of results that look like overnight success, but are in fact the result of unseen effort. And the best part? You don't have to wait for some perfect moment to begin, you just have to start. Today. Consistency is not just a practice, it is the foundation upon which trust is built. Trust is the most valuable currency in relationships, in business, and in leadership. It is not given freely, nor can it be demanded. It is earned through action, through reliability, and through the unwavering commitment to being who we say we are. When we lack consistency, we erode trust, not only with others, but within ourselves. And when we lose trust in ourselves, we begin to question our capabilities, our decisions, and our own potential. Think about a time when you made a promise to yourself. Maybe you told yourself you'd wake up early to exercise, or that you'd finally start that business, or that you'd be more present with your family. But then life happened, you hit snooze, you put off that big idea, you allowed distractions to steal your attention. And in that moment, it didn't seem like a big deal, but what really happened was something deeper, something more profound. You broke trust with yourself. And when you do that over and over again, it sends a message to your own subconscious that your word doesn't hold weight, that your commitments are flexible, that you are not someone who follows through. And the worst part, the next time you set a goal, a tiny voice whispers, "Why bother? You won't stick to it anyway." Now imagine the opposite. Imagine that every time you set a goal, you followed through. Every time you made a promise, you kept it. Imagine the confidence, the strength, the unshakable belief you would build within yourself. Because that's what consistency does. It creates proof. Proof that you are someone who shows up no matter how you feel. Proof that you can be counted on by others and by yourself. And that kind of proof is what builds an identity. When you are consistent, people notice, not because of grand gestures, but because of small, steady, reliable actions. Think about the people in your life whom you trust the most. They are not the ones who make big promises and occasionally show up. They are the ones who are there, the ones who answer when you call, the ones who follow through on their word. They are consistent. And because of that, you trust them. The same is true in business. A company that delivers quality every single time earns a reputation for reliability. A leader who listens, who supports, who acts with integrity every time becomes someone others follow willingly. But what happens when we are inconsistent? Doubt creeps in. We've all experienced it. A friend who says they'll be there but cancels last minute. A company that delivers a great product one time and a terrible one the next. A leader who makes promises but never follows through. Inconsistency breeds uncertainty, and uncertainty destroys trust. Because trust is not built in moments of greatness, it is built in the everyday actions that prove who we are. Some people believe that trust is about competence, about being the best at what we do. But think about the people you trust most. Do you trust them because they are perfect? Or do you trust them because they are there time and time again? Trust is not about brilliance. It is about dependability. It is about showing up even when it's inconvenient. It's about being there when it matters most, not just when it's easy. This is why consistency is so powerful. It is a signal to the world and to yourself that you can be counted on. That when you say you will do something, you do it. That when you set a goal, you follow through. That when you commit to a standard, you uphold it. And here's the thing, consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about making the decision day after day to show up, even when you don't feel like it, even when the results aren't immediate, even when no one is watching, because that's the true test. It's easy to be motivated when things are exciting, when there's momentum, when people are cheering you on. But the real question is, can you be consistent when no one is clapping, when progress is slow, when the path is unclear? That's where trust is built. That's where confidence is forged. And it starts with you. If you want to build trust with others, start by building trust with yourself. Keep the promises you make to yourself. If you say you'll wake up early, wake up early. If you say you'll make a change, if you say you'll be there for someone, be there. Because if you can't trust yourself, why should anyone else? This is the difference between those who achieve great things and those who don't. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not intelligence, it's consistency. The ability to keep going even when no one is watching. The discipline to stay the course even when there are no immediate rewards. The commitment to being the kind of person others, and more importantly, you can rely on. It is in the small moments, in the daily choices, that we define who we are. Not in the grand gestures, not in the big wins, but in the quiet consistency of showing up day after day and proving through action that we are exactly who we say we are. Because in the end, trust is not built in a day. It is built every single day. Success is not found in the grand moments of triumph. It is not reserved for the few who are constantly inspired, perpetually motivated, or uniquely gifted. Success in its purest form belongs to those who have mastered the art of persistence. It belongs to those who are willing to show up day after day, even when the work is dull, even when there's no immediate reward, even when no one is watching. It belongs to those who have learned to love the boring and the repetitive. The world glorifies moments of breakthrough, the championship win, the viral success, the overnight transformation. But the truth is, these moments are just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath them lies an ocean of unseen effort, mundane repetitions, and unwavering commitment. The most extraordinary individuals, the ones we admire, are not the ones who seek constant excitement, but those who have made peace with the monotony of mastery. A famous study on world-class violinists found that the best performers weren't necessarily the most talented. They weren't the ones who were struck by lightning bolts of inspiration or those who only played when they felt like it. They were the ones who practiced relentlessly, even when it was dull, even when they were tired, even when they doubted whether it was making a difference. They showed up. They committed to the work, not just to the outcome. They didn't wait to feel motivated. They relied on discipline. In a world that glorifies passion, we are often misled into believing that we must feel inspired all the time. We chase the highs, the moments of excitement, the instant gratification of visible progress. And when the excitement fades, when the work becomes routine, we wonder if we are on the wrong path. We assume that boredom is a sign to quit, to move on to something more thrilling. But this is where the real work begins. This is where the real transformation happens. Ask yourself, are you willing to keep going when it's not thrilling? Are you willing to embrace the mundane steps that lead to greatness? Consider the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the most brilliant minds of our time. Their lives are not a continuous stream of exhilarating breakthroughs. They don't wake up every day feeling a surge of passion. More often than not, they wake up to the same routines, the same practices, the same unglamorous work. The difference is that they have made peace with it. They have learned to love the process, not just the result. The path to excellence is paved with repetition. The writer who publishes bestsellers is the one who writes even when the words don't come easily. The musician who captivates audiences is the one who practices scales long after the excitement has worn off. The leader who changes lives is the one who makes the tough decisions even when they don't feel like it. Think about the moments in your own life when you made progress. Was it because you had a sudden burst of inspiration, or was it because you showed up day after day, despite the boredom, despite the doubt? Real growth doesn't happen in the adrenaline-fueled moments of excitement. It happens in the small, consistent actions that no one applauds. It happens when you choose to keep going when others would stop. Discipline will take you where motivation cannot. If you can learn to love the boring parts of your work, your fitness journey, your relationships, your personal growth, you will gain an edge over those who quit when things stop being exciting. Because the ones who make it are not the ones who felt the most passion. They are the ones who showed up anyway. So the question is not whether you will feel excited about your work every day. The question is whether you are willing to keep going when you don't. Whether you are willing to embrace the dull moments, the slow progress, the unseen effort. Mastery is not found in the grand moments of achievement. It is found in the hours of quiet practice, in the unseen effort, in the willingness to keep going when it's hard. It is found in the decision to love the boring and the repetitive, because that is where true success is built. Your mind will always find an excuse. It will whisper that you're too tired, that you can start tomorrow, that this one moment of ease won't matter in the grand scheme of things. But what if I told you that every time you give in, you are not just delaying progress, you are reinforcing a habit of stopping? What if every excuse is an act of self-sabotage, a decision that weakens your ability to push forward the next time resistance arises? The truth is, resistance is the signal that you are about to grow. It is the threshold between where you are and where you could be. It is not the enemy, it is the invitation. Every challenge, every moment of struggle, every instinct to quit is an opportunity. It is a moment where you decide who you are going to be. Are you the person who succumbs to the easy path? Or are you the person who endures, who pushes through, who becomes stronger? We've all faced it, that feeling of exhaustion, that voice in our head convincing us that we've done enough. And sometimes it's convincing. But when you push past it, when you go one more step, one more rep, one more hour, something remarkable happens. You prove to yourself that you are capable of more, and that proof accumulates. It becomes evidence of your resilience, evidence that you are not at the mercy of your excuses. And before you know it, you have built an unshakable foundation of discipline. Think about the moments in life when you grew the most. They weren't the moments of comfort. They were the moments of challenge. They were the times when you doubted yourself but moved forward anyway, when you pushed through fear, when you ignored the desire to quit, when you showed up even when every part of you wanted to stay where it was safe. Growth never comes in ease, growth comes in resistance. Imagine an athlete training for the biggest competition of their life. Do they wake up every morning feeling motivated? No. Do they always feel like showing up, sweating, pushing their bodies to the edge? Absolutely not. But they do it anyway, because they know that the only way to grow is to push through the moment when quitting feels easier. The work they put in when no one is watching, when the rewards are not immediate, when the pain is real, that is what separates them from those who dream but never achieve. You see, motivation is fleeting. It will not always be there. It comes in waves. And if you rely on it, you will find yourself constantly stopping and starting. But discipline Discipline is built in the moments you push through when motivation is gone. It is in those moments that you carve out the identity of a person who follows through, no matter what. And that identity is powerful, because once you see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, quitting stops being an option. Picture yourself a year from now. Think about what you want to accomplish, the life you want to live, the person you want to become. Now ask yourself, what stands between you and that future? It's not some insurmountable obstacle. It's not lack of opportunity. It's not even talent. It is simply the number of times you will push through resistance instead of giving into it. That is the only variable. And here's the thing, resistance never goes away. It shows up in new forms, in new challenges, at every level of success. The greatest people, the most accomplished, the most fulfilled, they still face resistance. The difference is they have learned to embrace it, to expect it, to welcome it as the price of growth. They don't view it as something to avoid. They see it as proof that they are on the right path. So the question is not whether you will face resistance. The question is what you will do when it comes. Will you give in? Will you listen to that voice that tells you it's okay to stop? Or will you recognize it for what it is, an opportunity, a moment to prove to yourself what you are truly capable of? Because every time you push through, you strengthen the part of you that is unbreakable. You train your mind to prioritize your future over your present comfort. And the more you do that, the easier it becomes. It shifts from a battle to a habit, from a struggle to a way of life. Until one day you look back and realize that the person you have become is the person who never quits. The person who embraces challenge. The person who, when faced with resistance, doesn't hesitate but pushes through. If you want to change your life, you don't need grand gestures or monumental efforts. You need the courage to show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. You need to force yourself to be consistent, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Discipline over motivation, small actions over time, trust through reliability, embracing the boring, pushing through resistance. These are the keys to true success. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is, will you? Force yourself to be consistent. And I promise you will be amazed by what you can achieve.